Appearing in court can often be a stressful experience, but for some Indigenous Australians it can also be a communication ordeal. Interpreters can help bridge the language barrier. In Darwin today, a conference called Language and the Law examined the practical problems in court interpreting. I spoke with conference Chair Justice Dean Mildren. Justice Mildren, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Louisa.
How much improvement have you seen in court interpreting over your time working in the legal profession?
Well, it's been enormous. When I first started, there were no Aboriginal interpreters in any of the languages. In fact, in the old days, the language that was used was Pidgin English, and we all had to learn it.
Do we still have a long way to go?
Well, I think we do, but you know the quality of the interpreters that we're now getting in the Supreme Court, anyway, is very good.
In the Territory, there are a large number of Indigenous languages, and a real shortage of interpreters in some of those languages. What kind of impact does that have on the system? A
defendant who doesn't speak the language of the court as his first language, and whose command of English is not sufficient to follow the proceedings, can't be tried unless his lawyer waives the right to an interpreter, which is not likely to happen. And so you may have to wait until you can find an interpreter. This could mean very long delays. It may mean the person can't be tried at all.
In your years in the courts, what examples have you seen where poor interpreting or the poor use of an interpreter has had a real impact?
There are many examples. There are examples of lawyers not understanding that the interpreter needs time to keep up with them and speaking too rapidly, or constructing sentences which are too convoluted to be interpreted.
You've said that experience shows that Aboriginal members of the public can often mistake the role of the interpreter, particularly when they're interpreting the judge's sentencing remarks. It is not uncommon for the defendant's family to often think that it is the interpreter who is sending the defendant to prison. What impact does this kind of pressure have on interpreters?
Well, I think it makes some interpreters reluctant to be involved. This is what I've heard anecdotally.
How many qualified interpreters would we have in the Territory at the moment?
Well, we don't have any fully qualified, in the sense that they've done an ARTI course to the appropriate interpreter level. However, I understand there is a program which is now going to be developed through Charles Darwin University to bring those interpreters that we already have who are partly trained and have some qualifications up to the professional level.
What changes do you believe should be made to the court system to make better use of interpreters?
First of all, there's changes that I think need to be made to the structure of the courtrooms. But we have the problem of the interpreter for the accused sitting next to the accused person in the dock. In some cases, the dock isn't very big. So you've got the appearance that the interpreter is there to be more than just an interpreter, but to effectively act as a friend and mentor, either to the witness or to the accused. And many Aboriginal people think that the interpreter is their friend and mentor.
You're working on a dictionary to help the interpretation of technical words used in court. What words are you finding that can be really confusing at an interpreting level?
You've got words like arraignment, and you've got accused and plead, and all these sort of words that don't have a precise meaning in Aboriginal languages, for example. So the dictionary is a collection of as many of these words and phrases as I could think of.
And on a resourcing level, could there be more attention given to the area of interpreting?
One of the things that is a concern is I think that there needs to be the interpreters need to be paid properly, and I'm not satisfied that they are getting paid what they're worth for what they do. Sure, they get paid their rates that are there for them, but you know, if you're living as an interpreter, you've got to make sure that you're capable of earning enough out of being an interpreter to make a reasonable living, and I think that's pretty hard at the moment.
Justice Dean Mildren, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.